Why lifetime transmission fluid is a mechanical myth, the hidden cost. You open your car's maintenance manual to check the service schedule. You look under the section for the automatic transmission. It says the unit is sealed for life and requires no scheduled maintenance. That sounds like brilliant engineering, doesn't it? So, you drive for 5 years, completely ignoring the gearbox. You hit 100,000 miles. Then, one cold morning, you put the car in drive, and it hesitates. When it finally shifts, it kicks you hard in the back. You take it to the mechanic, and they drain that lifetime fluid. It is not bright red anymore. It is pitch black, smells like burnt toast, and sparkles with metallic dust. The mechanic hands you a repair bill that could easily exceed $4,000. What just happened? The truth is, in the automotive industry, lifetime often aligns with the warranty period, not the actual lifespan of the car. If you want to know what is grinding inside your gearbox right now and how to stop it, keep watching. To understand the magnitude of this situation, we have to look at what automatic transmission fluid actually does. Most drivers think it is just a simple lubricant, much like engine oil. This is a massive understatement. Automatic transmission fluid, or ATF, is one of the most highly engineered, multi-purpose fluids in your entire vehicle. It performs 4 distinct and critical jobs simultaneously. First, it is a hydraulic fluid. Your automatic transmission shifts gears using pressurized fluid to activate internal clutches, servos, and bands. Without precise and consistent hydraulic pressure, your car physically cannot change gears. Second, it is a highly calibrated friction modifier. Inside your transmission are stacks of clutch plates that need to grip each other smoothly but firmly. The fluid contains specific chemical additives that control exactly how these clutches engage, ensuring you don't feel a violent jerk every time the car shifts. Third, it is a vital coolant. A transmission generates an immense amount of heat, and the fluid absorbs this heat, carrying it away to the transmission cooler located near your radiator. And finally, it is a heavy-duty lubricant that protects the complex arrangement of planetary gears, needle bearings, and steel shafts from destroying each other under heavy loads. When you realize how much brutal work this fluid does every single second you are driving, the idea that it never needs to be replaced becomes mechanically illogical. Let's dive deeper into where the heat comes from, because heat is the ultimate transmission killer. The primary source of this extreme heat is the torque converter. The torque converter sits between the engine and the transmission. It acts as a fluid coupling. Instead of a physical clutch disc like in a manual car, an automatic transmission uses the sheer force of moving fluid to transfer power from the engine to the wheels. Imagine 2 desk fans facing each other. You turn one on, and the wind makes the blades of the second fan spin. That is how a torque converter works, but it uses thick, heavy hydraulic oil instead of air. This fluid shearing process creates massive friction and staggering amounts of heat. If you are driving in heavy stop-and-go traffic, towing a trailer, or climbing steep mountain roads, the internal temperature of your fluid skyrockets. Normal operating temperature for most transmissions is around 175 degrees Fahrenheit. A widely accepted engineering rule of thumb states that for every 20-degree increase above optimal temperatures, the fluid's effective lifespan can be significantly reduced. When the fluid gets too hot, its complex chemical structure begins to literally break apart. This thermal degradation destroys the careful chemistry of the ATF. The base oil oxidizes, turning thick and dark. But more importantly, the additive package collapses. Transmission fluid contains anti-foaming agents. As we learned in our previous video about brake fluid, gas bubbles inside a hydraulic system ruin the pressure. If the ATF foams up, the hydraulic pressure drops, and the transmission slips. The fluid also contains oxidation inhibitors and viscosity modifiers. When these burn off, the fluid loses its ability to flow properly when cold and protect properly when hot. When the fluid loses these chemical properties, it can no longer protect the moving parts. But thermal degradation is only half of the story. The other half of the story is physical contamination. Your transmission is essentially wearing itself out from the inside, very slowly. The friction material on those internal clutch packs is designed to shed microscopic particles over time, much like your brake pads wear down to dust. Normally, a transmission filter catches the larger debris. Furthermore, manufacturers place strong magnets inside the transmission fluid pan to catch sharp steel shavings from the gears. But the microscopic, non-magnetic clutch material remains suspended in the fluid. As the thousands of miles rack up, this abrasive friction material accumulates in high concentrations. Your bright red, slippery transmission fluid slowly transforms into a dark, gritty sludge. It effectively becomes liquid sandpaper. This liquid sandpaper is then pumped at high pressure through the most sensitive part of your transmission, the valve body. The valve body is the central brain of the gearbox. It is a highly intricate labyrinth of tiny, precise hydraulic channels and electronically controlled solenoid valves. These solenoids open and close rapidly to direct fluid pressure and command the shifts. The tolerances inside these valves are incredibly tight, often measured in thousandths of an inch. When you pump abrasive, dirty fluid through these microscopic clearances, it scours and scratches the soft aluminum walls of the valve body. The valves begin to stick. They fail to open and close at the precise milliseconds required by the computer. This is exactly why your transmission starts to slip, hesitate, or slam hard into the next gear. The fluid pressure is bleeding off internally where it shouldn't. So, why would car manufacturers lie about this? Why would they remove the transmission dipstick entirely and declare the unit sealed for life? It comes down to marketing, perceived cost of ownership, and human error. Firstly, removing the dipstick prevents owners from accidentally pouring the wrong fluid, or even motor oil, into the transmission, which used to be a common cause of failure. But secondly, automakers want to advertise incredibly low maintenance costs for the first few years of ownership. By removing transmission fluid changes from the required maintenance schedule, the car looks much cheaper to maintain on paper compared to older models. Additionally, they know that a transmission running on slowly degrading fluid will almost certainly survive past the standard factory warranty period. If the transmission begins to fail at 120,000 miles, the manufacturer is no longer financially responsible. You are. The lifetime fluid concept is a brilliant marketing strategy for selling new cars, but it shifts the long-term financial burden directly to the consumer. So what is the survival protocol? How do you protect your vehicle from a catastrophic failure that could range from $3,000 to over $5,000? Here are the 3 actionable steps you must take to save your transmission. Rule number 1. Ignore the marketing myth and establish a service interval. Unless you plan to sell the car before the warranty expires, you must change the fluid. For many modern vehicles, especially those driven in heavy city traffic, a typical range for fluid replacement is between 50,000 to 60,000 miles. If you regularly tow heavy loads or drive aggressively, you should consult a specialist to see if a shorter interval is necessary. Rule number 2. Do a drain and fill. Be extremely cautious with chemical flushes. If your car already is well over 100,000 miles and the fluid has never been changed, do not blindly hook it up to a pressurized flush machine. A high-pressure chemical flush can dislodge harmless, settled sludge and push it directly into the delicate valve body. This can trigger severe shifting issues or even immediate transmission failure. Instead, simply have a mechanic drain the fluid from the pan, clean the internal magnets, change the filter, and refill it. A drain and fill only replaces about 40 to 50% of the fluid at a time, which is a gentle and safe way to refresh the system's chemical additives without shocking the worn seals. Rule number 3. Always use the exact manufacturer specification. Transmission fluid is not a universal product. There are dozens of different specifications like Dextran, Mercon, ATF plus 4, and specific CVT fluids. Using the wrong type of fluid will instantly alter the friction characteristics of your clutch packs, causing severe slipping or shuddering. Always check your owner's manual for the exact chemical specification, not just a generic brand name. To summarize the reality of automotive engineering, fluids degrade. Friction creates wear. Heat destroys chemistry. There is no such thing as a permanent, frictionless, lifetime fluid in any heavy mechanical system. Spending a few $100s on a proper fluid change today is the only logical way to prevent spending a fortune on a total transmission rebuild tomorrow. Do not let a clever marketing term destroy your vehicle's most expensive component. Next time, we are going to look at another hidden system that dictates your safety. We will reveal exactly what happens inside your ABS module when you slam on the brakes on black ice and why it vibrates your foot. Subscribe if you want to understand how your car really works and how to protect it.